Hi, everybody. It's Amalia, founder of S.T.E.M Braids and Beyond and host of the Silver Bullet S.T.E.M podcast. Today, I have an incredible guest with an incredible background, also a great transition in his S.T.E.M career. I can't wait for you guys to meet him. Go ahead and introduce yourself.
Hi, so my name is Jared Pierce. I'm currently I'm actually unemployed right now, looking for a job within the coding field. But before that, I have a degree in exercise science or kinesiology. I used to actually work at a physical therapy clinic as an OSS, as an operational support specialist. So basically, I like set up appointments, talk to health insurances, um, work with the patients when like the actual therapists are busy. I can do everything but stretch them and write notes. So I was kind of like a jack of all trades.
Okay, so let me unpack that a little bit more. You have a bachelor's of science in what?
Kinesiology, exercise science.
Okay, so I'm gonna have you break that down. Like exercise science? What is does that mean? The person is injured? Do they service athletes? What does that mean?
So it's really a broad, like it's a big umbrella. Basically, like when with that degree, I could have gone into physical therapy, occupational therapy, athletic training, coaching, anything like exercise related, you name it, you could probably pursue it more than likely. Um, Initially, I was going for physical therapy, but I took a break just with school because it's an intensive program. Like any science major is pretty intensive. Um, Kind of wish I stuck with it, but it's it's definitely, how do I want to word this? It's definitely rewarding,
Yeah.
um, and it's definitely like a lot of avenues you can take. Um, Honestly, I'm kind of glad I have it. Um, Obviously, I'm not using it now, but I mean, I potentially pursued it, and I could potentially make a career or go back into the field with coding too, especially with everything being AI and um, kind of technologically advanced now. Like I just on LinkedIn the other day, I've seen like an AI machine that was helping someone that had cerebral palsy and or um, ALS, like to help them move. So,
What inspired you to pursue that degree?
so like sports basically. I grew up playing sports. Played all 4 years of football and basketball in high school. And you know, initially when people think about physical therapists, they automatically think sports, which
Yeah.
was my, which is why I got into it. But as you kind of like learn, you understand like physical therapy is more so you will get the occasional athlete depending on your setting. But 9 times out of 10, you're going to be with geriatric groups, um, or other like middle-aged people, or even like some teams. Like I know when I worked at ATI, we had a lot of people from Amazon, just like physical demanding jobs, construction workers, stuff like that.
So if somebody wanted to use their sports, what you've highlighted here, and before we started the interview, I spoke to you about this, about STEM illiteracy versus STEM education. And you said, I thought it was going to be sports based, which means if it was sports based, it might have been something you would have followed all the way through, but you got into the program and before you realized it, you were pursuing something that you didn't understand. So now you're transitioning into coding, but it was the misunderstanding of what kinesiology was. So if you were to have chosen a program that had a sport alignment, do you happen to know what that would have been?
Um, Athletic training probably would have been like something I would have pursued more. Like I honestly, once I actually got into a setting with physical therapy, I had no issue with it not being specifically sports related. I
Hmm.
will say anything like athletic training, occupational therapy, physical therapy, you have to have like some type of way to communicate with people. Um,
Hmm.
and again, well, my background before I went into physical therapy, I was working retail.
Hmm.
So I'm talking with people every day. I know how to make conversation. Um, if you don't know how to do that in that field, you probably won't enjoy it.
Right. But so maybe here's one, sports medicine, where you get to treat athletes.
Yep. So what was it? It's been a while since it's been a while since I graduated, so I gotta remember everything. So with sports medicine, that was more so like the physical therapy, athletic training. So yeah, I want to say athletic training was more so focused on sports medicine,
Mm-hmm.
just because you're dealing with the athlete. Like you're there when the injury happens. You're
Right,
usually there with them unless they go to a physical therapy clinic. Like a lot of facilities now have a physical therapist on site. Um,
right.
so, but you have to be. I want to say you have to be, but you have to know connections. You have to be top of the top elite in your class. But you can also do it. You don't even have to be the best as long as you have like some type of avenue or connection with like coaches or just the certain person. You can.
Uh, or you were just a kick hard athlete who people respect, because I strongly believe that athletes are the most prime for pursuing something in biological sciences, because to me, by the time they're 18, if they've played sports their whole life, they have a better understanding of the human body and performance inclinations than the average person. So they are the most prime people for being in some sort of sports medicine field, some performance times. Because like athletes, they're not like regular people. Look at Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, I would like somebody like LeBron James is a perfect example. Uh,
Exactly.
what is he like? He's 30, pushing darn near pushing 40. Been in the league since he was 18, and he's still moving like he could be a college athlete right now. He
Hello.
could run with the best of them. So,
Hello. I mean, he is. He is. What was your childhood dream job?
so typical. I was because I played sports. I wanted to be an athlete. Growing up. Because honestly, I really never really like thought of anything too specific. I didn't take anything serious. I should say. I shouldn't say didn't take anything serious. Didn't take a specific career serious until I started hitting like high school and college, when I kind of realized like I'm not a top athlete getting recruited to like Ohio State or something. But yeah, definitely athlete. Or I wanted to help. Like I like helping people when I was growing up. Which kind of explained how I went from retail into physical therapy. Um,
Mm,
in terms of like customer facing or like customer focus or assisting people.
okay. Um, so did you go to college on a athletic scholarship or no?
No, I could have. I did have one offer, but I pursued to stay in state, just for personal reasons. Um,
Absolutely.
and then it was a D3 school at that, so they don't really offer scholarships, well, at least athletic scholarships. Um,
Okay. And okay, let's dig a little bit deeper. What did your childhood look like growing up? Because my podcast is specifically designed for underrepresented, so that relatability matters. What did your childhood look like?
so grew up in a single parent household. It was just me, my mom, my sister. Uh, got help with like so we lived in Jersey.
Mm,
So my mom drove to Delaware every day to work, so I was always with my grandparents.
mm,
Um, so my grandmom, uh, God rest her soul, she worked in a hospital in the X-ray, like the one of those techs there. Um,
nice.
so that's kind of where I got like the interest from some of
Oh,
the techs. Yeah. Um, and
that's
so always with her, she always took me to the hospital whenever like I was off from like kindergarten or something. Yeah.
that's so beautiful. So I know now you've taken a pivot in your career to go into technology. Based on your childhood interests, the things you've learned in physical therapy as an OSS, what do you think are the skills that you have that best aligns that made you say, technology might be a good avenue to pursue?
Um, Let me think. Some of the skill sets. So what I learned now is that a lot of the industry and tech now are looking for more people with soft skills instead of like hard coding skills. So skills, excuse me. So having that background with retail and physical therapy, where I know how to talk to people and not at people, um,
Absolutely.
is definitely like something that's helped. Well, I should say helped so far. I'm still kind of searching job, but it's definitely like a plus now to have. If that answered your question.
Absolutely. What do you know now that you wish you knew sooner about pursuing a field in technology?
Honestly, I wish I got into it a lot sooner. Um,
Mhm.
because some of the people I've talked to, it was like back a few years ago,
Mhm.
you would have got a job right when you got done graduation. Um, and it's so much opportunity and money
Mhm.
that people can earn in this industry. Obviously, it's a rough patch right now, but um, within the coming months, there's supposed to be a September surge, they call it. So
Mhm.
a lot of jobs are going to start opening up. A lot of people are going to be hiring. The flexibility with this job, um, I don't mind working on site anywhere or being hybrid or remote. I can do either or.
Yeah.
But the ability to travel, be relocated, you don't have to do too much. It's just everything you could not I shouldn't say everything you could imagine, but there's a lot of freedom within this field.
Oh wow. Within the technology field.
Yeah.
What is your what kind of job? Because a lot of different people look at my podcast. What kind of job are you looking for?
So I'm actually looking for a software engineering, so kind of back end stuff. Um, Actually, for a final project for the boot camp I just graduated from, we created a nutrition app
Yeah.
called NutriCount, where it tracks basically food intake and stores food, calorie intake, weight loss and gain. It tracks all that progress for you. And I was actually kind of like the front, I don't say his focus, but basically like the lead of the backend design. So I designed like the backend database, worked most of the functions, especially for like the meals, which handled like adding the food to it and all that stuff. So anything backend database wise, is something I'm pursuing. I'm actually working on a certificate right now for cybersecurity, because that's something I'm interested in as well, like further down along down the line.
Beautiful. So what programming languages do you know how to write?
So just Java right now. That was more so the boot camp was Java specific from back end and front end. So for those that know Java is like SQL, the Java languages, Vue, JS, JavaScript, CSS, HTML, stuff like that.
Got it. You highlighted this a little bit earlier about transferable skills from um, your degree and your work experience, but I feel like I'm hearing a bit of, even in the designing of the program that you did, you were able to pull on the previous experiences, maybe from using the systems that you've used before. Do you feel like that's the case?
Systems in terms of like the
Like at the physical therapy office, or just being able to design something. So I feel like an underpinning of what you're talking about is like a UX UI designer, because being able to come up with the idea of something that's functional is not the same thing that as just something that meets a basic requirement. You know what I mean?
yeah. So when I worked at the physical therapy place, I know like the system they had.
Mhm.
Um, they had like the search options, like to filter through certain stuff. So that I could definitely call back on that. Like when I was from like writing like SQL statements to looking for like specific, um, it was like a where clause basically at the end of a SQL statement. So like where like a specific food had like was a specific food type or specific calories intake, some stuff like that. That definitely helped like as in consideration when designing the database. Um, if that answered your question again.
Absolutely. What if you had a chance to speak to someone, a kid who's underrepresented, never really had a career he was passionate about, or he or she might have been a good athlete? What would your advice be to them? Because I understand that technology is a big push, but not everybody has a knack for that. What would you share with them to inspire them to have maybe a STEM focus, even if they don't know what that is specifically?
Honestly, I would
Mhm.
say just try it, because the worst thing, if you don't like it, you can always pursue something else. Um,
Mhm.
Honestly, when I first got into it, like I wasn't sure how I feel about it, but once I like kind of got rolling, got the ball moving, and kind of learned as I was going along, I was like, I could do this for a while. Like it's
Absolutely.
something I could potentially enjoy. Um,
Mm.
it's like even if you don't like working with other people, this is probably the perfect field for you, because you can just sit at home or sit in your office. But if you like working with a team, they have that type of setup as well. So yeah, just try it. And worst case, you can pursue something else. Honestly, try the earlier you try it, the better, because then you don't set yourself back like X amount of years down the line trying to figure out what you want to do, or you don't enjoy it at the end of the day. So just try anything, especially when you're young.
Yeah. I want to pull on a thread of a conversation we had where you said that you did STEM, I guess, when you were in school. what did you take away from that STEM program that was able to help you with defining your career now?
That was a while ago.
I know. I mean,
Oh,
if you don't know, you know, because one of the things that I feel like is, and that's why I preach STEM literacy over STEM education or STEM skills, is that you may have taken a STEM activity, but how does that inform the career path you have? Yeah, you're teaching coding in schools, but if the child doesn't feel like coding is what they want, what else in STEM is there for them? And I guess that's what I'm trying to pull out of it. And if you don't, I mean, if nothing was a big takeaway, that's fine. It qualifies the point I'm making, where teaching one skill is not enough to make an informed STEM decision. You know what I mean?
yeah. I have to say, like you said, they don't like coding. Because what did I do? I know we did like a lot of. I remember we went to like a factory one time. I cannot remember the factory. It was like a manufacturing place. But it was just like a lot of hands-on experience. Like we did. Oh shoot, where was this place at? I can't remember now. I'm showing my age, even though I'm not that old. But you know, like you said, if somebody doesn't like coding and they want to like really be hands-on, like stuff like engineering is big, like designing, like architectural design, stuff like that. I know a lot of people, like even if you're in a lab, that's something, because I mean, it's not technically a STEM program, but even in high school, like we did, or college, I should say, we did stuff in the lab, working with burners and hot plates and stuff like that. So
yeah,
it's definitely just
absolutely. I guess what you're saying is that get in the environment and as many different STEM, and if you can't find a thing, eventually something would jump out. That's
something will click. Yeah.
Yeah, that's beautiful. Okay, so what does STEM mean to you?
To me, it's definitely, so growing up, there definitely was more like the mathematics and stuff like that. It's definitely science focused. And that's why I didn't, when you was picking on me earlier, that's why I didn't understand when kinesiology fell under that, because it is a science. But when I think of science and all that, I think of like the people in the labs working with diseases and stuff like that, finding cures, mathematicians, engineers, stuff like that. So that's definitely what STEM means to me. It's more of, it's definitely an opening. There's so many pathways, and it's very opportunistic. That's what it means to me.
Absolutely.
I know that was kind of like a long-winded jumbled answer.
That's the shortest answer I think I've ever gotten. No, but I love it. Well, thank you so much for being a guest. Go ahead and say bye to everybody. Bye.
Yeah.
Next time.
And then if anybody wants to connect with me, I am on LinkedIn. I meant to mention this earlier. It is linkedin.com/Jared Pierce Developer. Again, I am open. I'm looking for a job if anybody is hiring. I'm going to just shamelessly plug that in.
Absolutely.
So
I'll be sure to share that and see what I can do in my network too. But thank you so much for coming on.
No, thank you for having me. It was actually fun. I wasn't sure how this was going to go.